Hello, guys. You are welcome back to Western History TV. This is a part 2 video, which is supposed to be a continuation of the video on the contribution of Pharaonic Egypt. In our last video lessons, I told you that this topic was very lengthy and I could not do it in one particular lesson, so I divided them into two. So in the first part, we looked at three notable achievements of Pharaonic Egypt. We looked at the achievement in agriculture, even though a greater part of their land was virtually dry, but they managed to cultivate food such as barley, wheat, and other food crops, and there wasn't any scarcity of food. Food security was assured. Also, because the rain over there, the rains over there are not enough. They needed to also irrigate the farms after they have cultivated the land, and that also came with it a problem. They managed to solve that problem by also inventing a particular irrigation machine known as the shaduf, which I showed to you the last time, and how it operated. Again, the last one we looked at was their engineering skills. That was engineering skills, the building of the pyramid, where we saw that the pyramids were mainly built to serve as burial places for the pharaohs or for the kings, and therefore it took them 20 years to build one pyramid, to complete one pyramid. And so we saw that as a pharaoh, in as much as you became a pharaoh, you start to build your pyramid so that you do not die and they may not get a place to bury you. So today I'm going to again introduce you to three most important parts of the Egyptian contribution to world civilization, and that's the part 2 of this topic. So let's begin with it. So I'm introducing you for the first time to their architecture and art. They were not only good in agriculture and the irrigation machine and other things, but they architectural wise, they also built nice buildings, and artworks were also, the artworks were also splendid. Now, Egyptian artworks served both religious and non-religious purposes. So there were some artworks that they did which were used for religious purposes, like the worship of their gods. So and then also there were some also that were made for decorations, probably in our houses, and that is for the non-religious purposes. Now, it comprises reliefs, of course, that is carvings on surfaces of walls and doors. Those were the non-religious ones, the wall painting, the carved statues, the sculpture, and co. These ones were non-religious. They were not associated with the worship of anything, but just that they were used, for decoration purposes. Good. So let's move on to the next one. Wall paintings and reliefs were found in tombs and in temples, and these were the religious ones. Some wall paintings were done, paintings in wall, that is drawing something on the wall, and these things were found in the tombs of the pharaohs. And if we say the tombs of the pharaohs, your mind should, or you cast your mind back to the whole idea of the pyramid. And also in temples, if you go to their temples, they also had some of these artworks over there. Wall paintings depicted art of devotion, that is worship, aspect of daily life, agriculture, pursuit, rural crafts, and amusement. So some of the artworks that they did on the walls, or the wall paintings, some of them were done for devotion purposes, and that is the religious art. Others were also done for normal day, agriculture pursuit, anything at all. They also painted or carved their gods and important personalities, and that is what we have been talking about. Among the gods commonly represented in reliefs and wall paintings were Hathor and Osiris, and these were Greek gods, they actually painted some of these gods, or they on walls in their temples and all of that. Now, Egyptians, wealthy families. So now that is the art aspect. So let's come to the architectural aspect. Egyptian wealthy families lived in large, well-built houses made of wooden frames covered with bricks, and that was the kind of life that the Egyptian, the wealthy ones, the rich people, those are the kind of houses that they lived in. Very, very nice houses. I'll show you some of them as we move on. The poor people lived in one room for houses made of mud bricks. In the cities, the houses had only one single wall between them. Statues carved of wood or limestone sometimes appeared to be realistic portraits of important officials, individuals, or animals. Bronze figures were also produced in abundance, and these things are common to the Ghanaian society. Egyptian architecture comprised a rectangular shaped houses built of mud or brick. A typical example of such architecture was the temple of the god Ammon, built in Karnak, and I'll show you this example. The temple of Ammon, or the temple that was dedicated for the worship of the god Ammon, and it was built at Karnak, and I'll show you the building. Very, very interesting rectangular shape. So let's look at the buildings of these. Now these are the wall paintings that we talked about. You see, excuse me, these ones are the paintings that are wall paintings, and we said that some of the artworks were found in tombs. And this is a tomb of a pharaoh. This is a coffin of a pharaoh over there, and these are the paintings, the artworks. These artworks are mainly for religious purposes. At times they all have meanings to them. They all have meanings to these artworks. Some of them depict a journey of the pharaoh to the new world. Others also, of course, consist of mantra and other things. They believe that these things will journey the pharaoh into the new world peacefully. And this is the Ammon temple built at Karnak, and this is what we are talking about. Look at the architectural style. Look at the building of the temple. A rectangular. This is the god Anak. This is the rectangular building that we describe with wooden frames, and all these are temples. And we look at all these amazing artworks done for religious purposes. All right, and this is the god Ammon, as you've seen the statue over there. These ones were their writings, but we will come to that very, very soon. So this has to do with the development in artwork and architecture. And today we still have, of course, some of these architectures around. If you go to the Sudan area, there they still have some of them. But think about it: this immense achievement, immense, building, profound, very, very, very profound, very, very, very interesting. So let's look at the next one. The development of writing and literacy. It is believed that it was the Egyptians who actually introduced the act of writing, and this was very, very remarkable. Ancient Egypt developed one of the oldest and most remarkable forms of writing, and their writings was known as the hieroglyphics, or the hieroglyphics. Now, it is dated from the period before 3000 BC. The hieroglyphics were a result of picture writing. A picture represented a word. The victorious and achievements of early pharaohs were recorded in hieroglyphics. So the hieroglyphics, it looks like it's a pictorial writing, or a picture writing, which then means that we use pictures to write, to communicate, to bring out some form of communication. So always I ask my students anytime I'm teaching this topic that, okay, so What if somebody gives you a charcoal and gives you a mango tree, a mango fruit, and wrap it in a poly bag and throws it in front of your house, and you know that the person is trying to send a message to you? What is the person trying to tell you? Yes, can you guess for me? A charcoal and a mango fruit, and you know that the person who threw this in front of my house is actually trying to communicate something, for instance, between a male and a female. What is the communication about? If you're a lady and this, you get this, what is the guy trying to tell you? Did you get it? Okay, you think about that. I would tell you when we are done with this particular issue about writing. So the pictures were used to represent the ideas that the people wanted to convey. The second Egyptian forms of writing was the hieroglyphics, and it was a form of shorthand, of course, used by the priest. And the third one was also called the demotic, which was much faster cursive running script, developed before 600 BC. So as time went on, the Egyptians developed and improved on their existing hieroglyphics. It was the Egyptians who created the early alphabet. Sorry, that is the letter A, B, C, and D, and that formed the element of written language today. So Egyptians were the ones who really actually started to create the early alphabet. Okay, now the Egyptians also invented a writing paper or a writing material. Today we write on papers, but the Egyptians actually, if you have developed a system of writing, then you should have a system where are you going to write your writings. You understand? So the Egyptians developed a writing material called the papyrus reed, and I will show you the pictures in a very short time. The papyrus reed was used to manufacture a kind of paper. Pens were also made for reeds, whilst ink was produced by mixing water, carbon, and gum, and they used it to write. These inventions helped them to keep records, issue instructions, and to note down important matters of state. With the development of writing, the ancient Egyptians produced several literatures, several books, because they were able to invent the art of writing. They produced several books, several literatures, because the papyrus reed was there. And papyrus is a type of plant. It's a type of course, plant. I'll show you all of them to you in the next slide. Now, the famous among all the literatures, all the books that the Egyptians wrote with the hieroglyphics was the Book of the Dead. Very, very interesting book, the Book of the Dead, which contains hymns, prayers, and magical phrases recited by soul on its journey beyond the grave. So they mainly contain recitals, magical words that they recite, and they believe that in the course of the reciting, it would journey the Pharaoh into the new world. Good. So the question, back to the question, the mango and the charcoal. It just simply means that the charcoal represents fire, which means evening. You understand? Then the mango also represents, the mango fruit also represents what? The mango tree. So he's just telling her that in the evening, meet me at the mango tree. We don't know the time though. Well, let's move on to this is the hieroglyphics, as you have seen there. This is the hieroglyphics. The images here is what the hieroglyphics look like, and you have seen the meanings of all the hieroglyphics in there. And this is, if you see this, it means that they are talking about a voucher. Okay, this one here represented what? Leg. All right, and its corresponding alphabetical order out here. So this is what we call the hieroglyphics. The first is, and all of that is the mancha, the pictorial, and then we have to interest you if you can read. People can read. This is the papyrus area that they wrote on. So they have a spec that they wrote on, and these papyrus reeds are manufactured. Good. So let's move on to the next one. The development of science and mathematics. They were not only good in building tombs, in writing and all of that. Science and mathematics was also a very important aspect that the ancient Egyptians actually distinguished themselves as prolific scientists. by means of some remarkable scientific innovation. The Egyptians also knew something about astronomy. It is on record that their priests measured and recorded the movement of the sun, the moon, stars, and planets. These things were normally done by the priests. Yes, recorded the movement of the sun, the moon, and the planet. And in recording these, you will get seasons, right, and days. In the first 5 days, of course, the calendar month was made up of 30 days, with the 12th month and last month of the year consisted of 35 days. That's that different from the calendar that we are using, and this was recorded by the Egyptian priest. Now, in the field of mathematics, the Egyptians also invented a method of calculating a rectangular area. This invention was to help